lagers. A chance remark of an acquaintance resulted in my journeying to 4 concentration camps. My husband and I were at the Hirshhorn when we met a former classmate of mine. I asked if she had seen a mutual friend. She said she had. By the way, this friend then was working for the fledgling U.S. Holocaust Museum. She said she had just gotten back from a trip with her. Our friend had given her a choice: the Loire Valley in May or Auschwitz in November. The Loire Valley in May or Auschwitz in November. Well, we twittered and we said our goodbyes. And as we walked away, I said to my husband, I would have chosen Auschwitz in November. It took 2 years, but in the summer of 1989, we visited 4 concentration camps: Dachau, Mauthausen, Auschwitz, and Sachsenhausen. My camera became a shield, a refuge behind which to hide, while I walked through the buildings and surrounding land where so many had perished. The series of paintings I call lagers is the result of that journey. The name I chose for the series is the name used by Primo Levi, a survivor of Auschwitz, who wrote extensively about his experience. Dachau, near Munich. I only got angry in Dachau. Perhaps it was because it was the first camp we saw. Perhaps it was because the houses were all around the camp, the inhabitants easily seeing what was going on in front of them. Perhaps because the rebuilt bunks were nicer than any of the camps in the children's camps in the United States. Perhaps because I saw a building called a prison. Well, what were the other buildings? Or perhaps because there were lovely flowers planted here and there, whereas during their use, the ground was barren. Mauthausen, Austria. We walked from the inn where we stayed up a long hill to the camp. It had a stone quarry in which the prisoners walked down 186 steps and carried large stones weighing about 110 pounds each up the 186 steps. The diet was calculated along with the hard labor for a man to last 3 months. At that time, a new group was trucked in, past the town, and up the long hill we had walked. Auschwitz in Poland, near Krakow. Auschwitz is made up of 2 camps. The one you're looking at now had been there for many years before and had been used as a barracks for the cavalry. It became a concentration camp during World War II, and the main large structures were used to imprison Poles and political prisoners. Birkenau is where the Jewish prisoners were held. That's about a mile away. While we were in Krakow, we visited 2 synagogues. One is a museum, and the other is a working synagogue. That's this one. Sachsenhausen, what was then East Berlin. Since East Berlin was controlled at the time by the Russians, the text in the museum focused on the Russians versus the fascists. I don't know if they've changed the text since then. My aunt and I visited the Baltics, the countries from which her parents emigrated, my grandparents. And when we were in Vilnius, Lithuania, we were taken to this prison, and this prison was used for the Lithuanian Jews to imprison them. Berlin, Germany. This is where the 7 men who attempted to assassinate Hitler were killed. It now stands as a memorial to them.